Hello, good morning. So in the last class, we have seen the definition of group, some theorems on group and problems on groups. So what is group? Group is the non-empty set which satisfies the properties with respect to the binary operation. So the properties are closure, associative, identity, and inverse. If these properties are satisfied in a non-empty set, then the set is said to be the group with respect to the given binary operation. The binary operation may be addition, multiplication, and addition modulo, multiplication modulo, and whatever may be the binary operation defined in the set. So if the non-empty set satisfies the properties of groups, namely closure, associative, identity, and inverse, then it is called a group. If it satisfies commutative property also, then it is called the commutative group or abelian group. So in this chapter, we learn about the subgroup. So what is subgroup? Subgroup is nothing but it is the subset of the group G with respect to the same binary operation defined in the group G. And so if it itself satisfies the properties of group and it should be the subset of the group, then the set non-empty set is called the subgroup of the group G. For example, H is equal to 1 minus 1. It is the set non-empty set. The set H is equal to 1 minus 1 satisfies all the properties of group, that is closure, associative, identity, and inverse. So one is identity element with respect to multiplication, and it satisfies the closure property, associative property. Inverse of 1 is 1, inverse of minus 1 is minus 1. So H satisfies all the properties of a group. So G is equal to 1 minus 1, I minus I. G is a group with respect to multiplication. G contains 4 elements, 1 minus 1, I minus I. So H is a subset of G. H is equal to 1 minus 1, G is equal to 1 minus 1, I minus I. H is a subset of G, and H satisfies all the properties of the group. Therefore, H is called the subgroup of the group G with respect to the binary operation multiplication. So to understand more and the theorems on subgroups, let us share the screen. I am sharing the screen. See here. So this is the definition of a subgroup. A non-empty set H of a group G is itself a group under the operation of G. The same operation will be in the subgroup H. If G is a group with respect to addition as a binary operation, then H must be a subgroup with respect to the same binary operation. Then we say that H is a subgroup of G. It is denoted by H less than or equal to G. So this is the symbol of subgroup G. Note, if H is a subgroup of G but is not equal to G itself, means the number of elements in G are not equal to number of elements in H, then H is called a proper subgroup of G and is denoted by H less than G. So this is the symbol of subgroup. It is a proper subgroup. So if H is a proper subgroup, then H contains at least one element less than the number of elements in G. Means H is not equal to G. If H is not equal to G and H satisfies all the properties of the group G, then H is called the proper subgroup. The subgroup is called the trivial subgroup of G. So this is the subgroup which contains only one element, that is identity element. The identity element satisfies closure, associative, identity, and inverse. So E is the identity element, inverse of E is E, and this group satisfies closure and associative property. Therefore, this group is called trivial subgroup or improper subgroup. If H is not equal to E, then it is called the non-trivial subgroup of G. So this is the example and definition of subgroup. Now, for any group G, there exists always two subgroups. One is trivial subgroup, that is the subgroup containing only one element, that is identity element. And G itself, the improper subgroup of G. So trivial or improper subgroup. If there exists any other group H other than the improper subgroup or trivial subgroup, then it is called a proper subgroup or non-trivial subgroup. For a group of integers under addition, so Z is a group of integers with respect to addition. Nz is under addition is a subgroup. What is Nz? If you multiply the set of integers with n is a integer, let us take n is equal to 2, 2z. 2z is a subset of z, and 2z is a group with respect to addition, and z is a group with respect to addition. So 2z is a subgroup of z. So here we say that under the addition as a binary operation, nz is a subgroup of z, whereas zn is the set of integers under addition modulo n. It is not a subgroup. Since addition modulo n is not the operation on Z. So when binary operation is not satisfied, then it is not a group. So these are the examples of subgroup. Now this is the theorem. Let G be a group and H a non-empty subset of G. If A B inverse belongs to H for all A comma B belongs to H, then H is a subgroup of G. In additive notation, A into B inverse is written as A minus B. So this is in additive notation. So this is the theorem. If G is a group and H is a subgroup of G, what is H? A non-empty subset of G. This non-empty subset H is said to be a subgroup of G if and only if A B inverse belongs to H. So this is one step test. If we take two elements A and B belongs to H, and if we satisfy this condition A B inverse belongs to H, then H is said to be the subgroup of G. Now how to prove? So by using the properties of groups, we are proving this theorem. So let us take A comma B belongs to H. What is H? H is a non-empty subset. So we have to prove that if H is a non-empty subset of a group G, and if A comma B belongs to H, A into B inverse belongs to H with this property, we have to prove all the conditions of group. So let us take A B belongs to H. For B is equal to A, so A B, we are taking two elements in H, and if B is equal to A, then A into B inverse belongs to H. This is the condition. So in place of B inverse, we can write A inverse because we are taking B is equal to A. So with this property, A into A inverse belongs to H. What is A into A inverse? A into A inverse is nothing but identity element. So E belongs to H. So by taking B is equal to A, and with this property A B inverse belongs to H, whereas A comma B belongs to H, then we are getting identity element belongs to H. So identity element exists in G. What is E? E is the identity of G. It will be the same identity element will be in H. Another property we are going to prove. Let A comma B belongs to H. For A is equal to E, AB inverse belongs to H. This is the condition. If AB belongs to H, then AB inverse belongs to H. We are taking A is equal to E. So AB inverse belongs to H means EB inverse belongs to H, implies E into B inverse is B inverse. B inverse belongs to H. For all B belongs to H. So for B belongs to H, B inverse belongs to H means every element in B possesses its inverse. So inverse property also satisfied. Identity property are also satisfied. Now let us take AB belongs to H, and we are taking B is equal to B inverse. So if AB belongs to H, what is the condition? AB inverse belongs to H. So AB inverse belongs to H implies A into What is B? B is equal to B inverse. B inverse belongs to H. So inverse of B is nothing but B, and we are getting here AB belongs to H. So if A comma B belongs to H, AB belongs to H means this is the closure property. So H satisfies closure property, identity element, inverse of element, each element exists. Now we have to prove that H satisfies closure property. Now let us take three elements. A, B, C belongs to H. Implies these three elements also belongs to G, and A into BC is equal to AB into C, because G is a group and ABC belongs to G, and this condition will be satisfied. If this condition is satisfied in G, then it also satisfied in H. So H satisfies all the properties of group. So here H is associative, hence H forms a group on its own with the same operation in G. Thus H forms a subgroup of G. So to prove H is a subgroup of G, this is the condition. If A comma B belongs to H, then A into B inverse belongs to H. If this condition is satisfied in H, then we say that H is a subgroup of G. So by taking this condition, we are proving H has identity element. By taking this condition, AB belongs to H, AB inverse belongs to H, and we are getting every element in H possesses its inverse. And by taking B is equal to B inverse, and with this condition, we are proving H has a closure property. Similarly, we have proved H has an associative property. So H satisfies all the properties of group, and H is a subset of group G. Therefore, H is a subgroup of G. So this completes the theorem. Now another theorem is, let G be a group and H be a non-empty subset of G. If AB is in H, whenever A comma B belongs to H, then H is closed under operation. So when A comma B belongs to H, A into B belongs to H, then this is nothing but the closure axiom. H in H, closure property is satisfied. Second condition is, whenever A belongs to H, A inverse belongs to H. So A inverse is in H whenever A is in H. Means for every element in H, there exists an inverse. Inverse of each element in H exists. If these two properties are satisfied, that is closure and inverse, then again H is a subgroup of G. So by taking these two conditions, we have to prove that H satisfies the properties of group and H is a subset of G. Therefore, H is a subgroup of G. So this is the statement of the theorem. Now we are going to prove this theorem by taking these two conditions. So see here, let A comma B belongs to H. From the condition 2, what is the second condition? Second condition is, whenever A belongs to H, A inverse belongs to H. So we are taking A comma B belongs to H. From the second condition, where if B belongs to H, B inverse belongs to H by second condition. From the first condition, B belongs to H, B inverse belongs to H. We are taking two elements, A and B inverse. If A comma A and B inverse belongs to H, implies A into B inverse belongs to H. This is closure property. By first condition, if we take these two elements, A and B inverse belongs to H, then A into B inverse belongs to H by closure property first condition. So A into B inverse belongs to H. So in the last theorem, we have seen that if A comma B belongs to H, A B inverse belongs to H, and H is a subset of group G, then H is a subgroup of G. So H forms a subgroup of G. Another next proof is, let A comma B belongs to H. Let B is equal to A inverse. We are taking B is equal to A inverse. So if A comma B belongs to H, from the first condition, what is the condition? A into B belongs to H. So A into B, what is B? B is equal to A inverse. A into A inverse belongs to H. A into A inverse is E, identity element. So H contains identity element. Now in the theorem, it is given that, what is given? In the theorem, two conditions are given. A, B belongs to H whenever A, comma B belongs to H, means it is closed under multiplication. H is closed under multiplication, means H satisfies closure property. And from condition 2, every element in H has its own has the inverse element. So inverse property is also satisfied. Now we have to satisfy associative and identity element. So if we prove associative and identity element, now we have proved this H contains identity element. AB belongs to H. If we take B is equal to A inverse, then AB belongs to H implies A into A inverse belongs to H, E belongs to H. So E is the identity element in G, which is the same as the identity element in H. Now, to prove associative property, we are taking three elements in H, implies A, B, C belongs to G. If A, B, C belongs to H, H is a subset of G. So A, B, C belongs to H means A, B, C belongs to G, and G is a group. G satisfies the close associative property. A into B, C is equal to A, B into C. So this is the associative property satisfied in H. So H satisfies associative property. H satisfies identity element. H has the closure property. H has every element of H has the inverse. So H satisfies all the properties of group. Hence H forms a subgroup of G because H is a subset of the group G. So this completes the proof of the theorem. Now another theorem is finite subgroup test. This is another theorem, finite subgroup test. Let H be a non-empty finite subset of a group G. If H is closed under the operation of G, then H is a subgroup of G. So this is the theorem known as finite subgroup test. So since H is closed under operation of G, we have AB belongs to H implies A into B belongs to H. This is closure property. H is closed under operation. Closed under operation means if we take any two elements in H, the product of two elements must be in H. So we are taking A and B belongs to H, then A into B belongs to H. So this is closed under multiplication. H is closed under multiplication. So from the previous theorem, it is sufficient if we prove A inverse belongs to H. So the second theorem, closure property is satisfied and inverse of each element exists, then H is a subgroup of G. So H is closed under the given operation in G. Now if we prove A inverse belongs to H whenever A belongs to H, then it is sufficient to prove this theorem. Now let A belongs to H. If A is equal to E, then A inverse is equal to A. If A is equal to E, then A inverse is equal to, what is the inverse of E? A is equal to E. A inverse is equal to A belongs to H. If A is identity element, then inverse of identity element is the element itself. Therefore, A inverse is equal to A. If A is not equal to E, then A square, A cube dash dash belongs to H by closure property in H. If A belongs to H, A into A square belongs to H. A square into A cube belongs to H. So the elements in H will be the powers of the element A power 1, A power 2, A cube, A power R, A power of S, A power of I, comma. These are the elements belongs to H by closure property. Since H is a finite means it contains finite number of elements, not infinite. So H is a finite. All the above elements A square, A cube are not distinct in H. So one of the element A power of I must be equal to A power of G for I greater than J. Since all the elements are not distinct. So let A power of I is equal to A power of J for I greater than J, then A power of I minus J is equal to E. But A is not equal to E. Here we are taken If A is not equal to E, so if A is not equal to E, then this I minus j should not be 0, it should be greater than 1. So multiplying here with A into a power of I minus j minus 1. Let us consider this. What happened if we multiply this? And this is equal to a power of I minus j minus 1 into A is equal to what will we get here? A power of I minus 1, I minus j minus 1 into A, it 1 cancel, we get a power of I minus j, and a power of I minus j is equal to E. So A into a power of I minus j minus 1 is equal to identity element, means this is the inverse of this element A. So A inverse can be written as a power of I minus j minus 1, since I minus j minus 1 is greater than or equal to 1. Thus, for any element A inverse exists. So here H is closed under binary operation. If H is closed and for every A belongs to H, A inverse belongs to H, means inverse property is satisfied. From the second theorem, it is sufficient that H is the subgroup of the group G. Now another theorem is, if H and K are two subgroups of a group G, then intersection of two subgroups is again a subgroup. So this is the statement of the theorem. If H and K are subgroups of the group G, then H intersection K is also a subgroup of G. So to prove this, what is the symbol of intersection? Two sets, intersection of two sets. H intersection K is nothing but the elements in, it is the set of elements X belongs to G such that X belongs to H and X belongs to K. So this is the definition of H intersection K. So what is H and K? H and K are two subgroups of a group G. So the intersection of two subgroups is the set of elements in G which are the elements of H and elements of K. So this element X must be the element of H and K. So this is combined element of H and K. So E belongs to H and E belongs to K, because E is the identity element in H and E is the identity element in K, and E is the identity element in G. Because H and K are subgroups of G, means identity element of G is same as the identity element of H and K. So E belongs to H and E belongs to K implies E belongs to intersection of H and K. So E belongs to H intersection K. It implies the set H intersection K contains one element, that is identity element E. So H intersection K is non-empty. So H intersection K is a non-empty set. Now we have to prove that H intersection K is a subgroup of G. So a non-empty set is said to be a subgroup of G if by first theorem A comma B belongs to H, A B inverse belongs to H, then H is a subgroup of G. So the same theorem we are applying here. Let A comma B belongs to H intersection K. So we are taking two elements in H intersection K. We have to prove that H intersection K is a subgroup of G. To prove this, we have proved that H intersection K is a non-empty set. Now we are taking two elements in H intersection K. Let A comma B belongs to H intersection K. It implies A comma B belongs to H and A comma B belongs to K, because this is intersection, and AB, we are taking two elements in H intersection K, means these two elements must be in H and these two elements must be in K. A comma B belongs to H and A comma B belongs to K. What is H? H is a subgroup of group G, and if H is a subgroup of group G, A comma B belongs to H, then A B inverse belongs to H by first theorem. Similarly, K is a subgroup of G and A comma B belongs to K, then A B inverse belongs to K. So A B inverse belongs to H and A B inverse belongs to K. Since H and K are subgroups of G, so we can write this the first theorem statement, by the first theorem statement, we can write this. So A B inverse belongs to H and A B inverse belongs to K implies A B inverse belongs to H intersection K. For all A comma B belongs to H intersection K. We have taken two elements in H intersection K and we are getting A B inverse belongs to H intersection K, which is nothing but H intersection K is the subgroup of the group G. So what we have proved in the first theorem, if H is a subgroup of G, then A comma B belongs to H, A B inverse belongs to H. Similarly, here we are taking A comma B belongs to H intersection K and we are getting A B inverse belongs to H intersection K implies H intersection K is a subgroup of G. So note, if H1, H2, H3 dash dash are subgroups of a group G, then intersection of all HIs is also a subgroup of G. So we can take finite number of subgroups H1, H2, H3, Hn. So intersection of all HIs, I is equal to 1 to n, is also a subgroup of G. If we take three subgroups, then intersection of all these three subgroups is again a subgroup of G. So this is the corollary or note, if H1, H2, H3 dash dash are the subgroups of G, then intersection of all HIs is also a subgroup of G. Now, another theorem is, let H and K be two subgroups of a group G. Then H union K is a subgroup of G if and only if either H is a subset of K or K is a subset of H. In the previous theorem, we have proved that if H and K are two subgroups of a group G, then H intersection K is a subgroup of G. But with respect to union, if H and K are two subgroups of G, then H union K is a subgroup of G. We cannot say like that. H union K is a subgroup of G if and only if there is a condition. If either H is contained in K or K is contained in H. So this is contained means subset. H is a subset of K or K is a subset of H. Then only the union of two subgroups is a subgroup of G. If H is not a subset of K and K is not a subset of H, then H union K is not a subgroup of G. This is the statement of this theorem or meaning of this theorem. So statement of this theorem is, if H and K are two subgroups of a group G, then H union K is a subgroup of G if and only if there is a condition, if either H is a subset of G or K is a subset of H. Either H is contained in K or K is contained in H. So how to prove this theorem? Now, if H is a subset of K, then what happened? What is the union of H union K? H is a subset of K. If H is a subset of K, then H union K is K, because K is superset of H. So union of H union K is K. And if K is subset of H, then K union H is H, because H is superset of K. K union H is equal to, or H union K is equal to H, and hence H union K is equal to K. What is K? K is subgroup. If K is subset of H, then K union H is equal to H. Hey, what is H? H is a subgroup. So if H is a subset of K or K is a subset of H, then H union K is equal to either K or it is H, and both are subgroups of G. So if we take H is a subset of K and K is a subset of H, then H union K or K union H is equal to H or K. Therefore, H union K is a subgroup of G. So what we have taken, if this part we have taken, then H union K is a subgroup of G. Conversely, suppose that H union K is a subgroup of G. So we are assuming H union K is a subgroup of G. Then what we have to prove? Either H is a subset of G, subset of K, or K is a subset of H. One of the subset H and K is contained in the other. So either H is a subset of K or K is a subset of H. We have to prove this. If we take H union K as a subgroup of G, suppose H is not equal to K, H is not a subset of K, then what happened? K must be subset of H, then only H union K is a subgroup. Here we are taking, suppose H is not a subset of K, then there exists A belongs to H such that A does not belongs to K, because H is not a subset of K. If H is not subset of K, then any one of the element in H will not be the element of K. So there exists A belongs to H such that A does not belongs to K. Now A does not belongs to K means B belongs to K. We are taking B belongs to K. So A comma B, A belongs to H and B belongs to K. A comma B belongs to union of these two, H and K. A comma B belongs to H union K. Since A belongs to H. So if A comma B belongs to H union K, what is H union K? H union K is a subgroup of G. We have assumed this. H union K is a subgroup of G. If H union K is a subgroup of G and A comma B belongs to H union K, by the first theorem of subgroup, A into B inverse belongs to H union K. So A into B inverse belongs to H union K means A into B inverse belongs to H or A into B inverse belongs to K, because this is union. So this element may be the element of H or it may be the element of K. In intersection, we write here A into B inverse belongs to H and A into B inverse belongs to K, but it is not intersection, it is union. So this element either belongs to H or belongs to K. A into B inverse belongs to H or A into B inverse belongs to K. Suppose A into B inverse belongs to H, then A inverse into AB inverse belongs to H, multiplying with A inverse, because A inverse belongs to H. A inverse into AB inverse belongs to H. By associative property, A inverse into A into B inverse belongs to H. This A inverse into A is E, E into B inverse belongs to H. E into B inverse is B inverse, B inverse belongs to H. B inverse belongs to H means B belongs to H. So B belongs to H. We are getting here B belongs to H. So what we have taken here, B belongs to K. By taking B belongs to K, we are getting B belongs to H, means K is a subset of H. So what we have assumed here, if H is not a subset of K and H union K is a subgroup of G, if H is not a subset of K, then K must be the subset of H. So it shows that if H union K is a subgroup of G, then either H belongs to H is a subset of K or K is a subset of H. We have taken here, we have assumed here H is not a subset of K, H is not contained in K, then we are getting the result K is contained in H if H union K is the subgroup of G. So this completes the proof. Similarly, we can take if K is not a subset of H, then we will get H is a subset of K. By taking same properties, we can